Hello. I'm going to make the taper legs. I already measure 6 inches from the top of the leg and an inch and a half from the bottom of the leg. So now I had to put this jig, which is nothing but a piece of MDF with a runner to run through the minor slot. That's nothing. It's just I just improvised this here. So now you have to align the line that you draw with this with the edge of the edge. So now we have so that we can cut the one side of the leg. Now, one thing you have to be aware is that you need to have your bandsaw perfectly tuned up, because you don't want the blade to start wandering one way or the other. So you do what you have to do, adjust the guides top and bottom and tension properly, so the blade, it won't be wandering one way or the other, so you cannot have a flat cut. This, it's got to be good enough so you can go one pass on the joiner and get it perfectly smooth and get rid of all the saw marks. Now, what we're going to do here is to make another. See, these two have to be 90. The two tapers have to be at 90 degrees to each other. So what we're going to do here is mark with a ruler.
And it can be stressful for the mixed marriage, like Clint and Eileen Dawson.
And a pencil.
I woke up in the middle of the night about a week ago. And she was
my pencil. I don't know. Oh, here.
She was sewing
I always losing my
the
pencil.
arms.
So what we say, that from the top of the leg, 6 inches down, and from the side of the leg, an inch and a half.
What are you doing?
Inch and a half. So now we get these two lines, these two
element in a long-lasting marriage.
spots. Oop.
A guest room with a door and a lock, and he's going to be there for a while.
Yeah.
Their daughter Carla is
there you go.
New York. She's doing
and that's going to be the other cap. So I will repeat that what we had before.
She performs a work in the subway. She
We
stands
had
on a
to.
platform and she does not make eye contact with people. And she turns slowly clockwise. And as people walk by, she with a change, she hands out little slips of paper.
We had to line up.
It's
the jig
It's a performance piece
with the
called
edge of the
Circular
jig.
Affirmation, and you got a big review in the New York Times here last week, and so we're happy for her, though they don't have
We
any
line up to the edge of the
jig.
jig, and
she gets paid for it from the foundation that used to give grants to painters, but enough painters, and so they wanted to do something different.
okay.
And,
Now,
is in our time. I was up in Lake Wobegon just this last week, and I went up to
okay.
to
Now
the
we're gonna
seniors banquet at Lake
do
Wobegon
the second cut.
to do. In my speech, I was sort of thinking I would tell the Table Tudor story, but I looked around the room and there were a lot of people in the room who were involved in
okay, that's one leg.
So I have to be careful about just when I told that.
That's one leg.
I tell the tomato butt story, but my sister was
the taper legs. And I gotta do 3 more, but I'm gonna do it off camera. Once you see one, you see them all. Just remember, it's a piece of scrap MDF with a runner that fits perfectly in that Midas truck. So we can install this thing. Make sure you're coming very close to the blade, but not touching. And you have a jig to do taper legs or whatever is a cross cut, if you will, or anything. Okay. Now I'm trying to smooth up the cut, the raft, a little bit of raft of the bandsaw. So I'm gonna run it through the joiner and get rid of that. Well, there is the dry fit of the legs and this apron. Now what we had to do before I put it together is sand everything and run it through the sander and run little dados around the bottom to put the bottom of the drawer. Table together, put the stretchers and put the legs together. I first glued the short stretchers with the legs. Then now I'm going to glue it to the long stretchers to the pair of legs on each side. This is the last chance I have to put the bottom of the cavity inside here. I run it through these dados that I got, a half-inch dado to accommodate this half-inch ply, and I'm going to install the it already started to glue the bottom one. I'm gluing the top, well, it will be the sides, the short stretchers with the table already, with the legs already, sorry, and I got a tongue twister here. Anyways, and we'll leave it to dry for a few hours, maybe overnight. I'm going to put this put a little bit of glue on those ladles. No more is it. So it glues to the tenon. The tenon being the stretcher themselves. I didn't thin it out. I didn't need to. There is no reason for it. So let me install. I don't know how easy it's going to be, but we need to do just right. There we go. Now we have to make sure that the bottom here, where is it? The bottom here fits. All flush. All flush out there. Now, I can put, it doesn't be extremely tight, but it's got to be somehow tight. I put only one. No need to extra tight anything. I dropped my little spacer. I have little spacers so I don't leave a mark. There. Again. Make sure it's all nice and tight, and that's all I need. I clean some of that glue. Let's just squeeze that here. Okay, well, I already cut all the glue and cut all the panels because one of these boards wasn't wide enough. So I glue and cut all the panels and present it here. See, that's the idea more or less. It's missing the slides that's going to go on the front and back. These are their slots are going to be in front and back, but you have more so that you have the ones that go in the center, and you have these ones here that go to the side, and there's two more. Now before I start, I'm going to clamp, because my clamps are not that long, and I don't want to go to the hardware store right now and get myself some longer pipe for my pipe clamps. But there is a good alternative for these. You put a couple of boards for the glue up. You put a couple of boards on here and grab a clamp you grab a clamp. Grab another clamp. I think you might have the idea of what I'm doing here. The clamp was. I need to lower this outside board. Yeah, there we go. Okay, now I'm going to secure it with a second clamp. Maybe I turn it the other way so I have room for get my hand in there and crank it down. When the two of these are too close together, when the two handles are too close together, it's almost impossible to crank it tight. And I'm not going to have any choice out here. There's no room in the back. Sorry. I've been inhaling too much sawdust. Won't do me any good. Alright, I'm gonna have to move that. So when I put this out here, I use the front and back piece to pull from it. So I put it like, for example, this way. I put it this way. You get the idea. Well, I was going to show you. I gotta bend up a little bit because I don't have the right shot. But I was going to show you what did I use for the square Midas angles that I was cutting. You know, I was using the Midas saw and a compound Midas saw, and I can never just get it just right. I end up using a sander or sanding by hand and adjusting those cuts till I came out with at least, well, you can make a different angle, but I came out with this jig out here. It's not my idea, it's not my invention, but that's what I get. You get a piece of plywood, basically, and cut two strips. In this case was 3/4 ply. You can do any other material, but the thing is it had to be a straight cut. However, then you're supposed to first glue one piece at 45 degrees or 45 degrees from this here side. Make sure you're okay. Then you have one side at 45 degrees exactly. You can double check, and double check and make sure you have exactly 45 degrees. Then you put a 90-degree square here between the two, and you have a 90-degree angle. You leave the square, you clamp it to this side, and what you do is glue these down and put a couple of screws just to make sure that while this glue is drying, it's not going to move. And that's the best jig I have ever made. Now you have to be careful when you cut, because there is a line out here which is the curve. I don't have to bring it all the way down here because I'm never going to cut this portion. But the reason I did it, I bring it over here, is because I want to see the curve spread, the distance between the two sticks. Because when you put your material to be cut and you have a mark, I normally measure the inside to the inside, or whatever I had to frame and or cut a midas to. You always I measure the inside corners. Now if you cut in this side, I have to make sure that my mark aligns to this side of the curve, and then I make my cut. If I wanted to cut this side over here, the opposite, I have to make sure my mark aligns to this side of the curve to be more precise. Otherwise, you're going to put it, and if you cut it in the middle, you align your mark on the center, or you align your mark to the other side, it's going to be too big, and then you're going to have to come out here and recut it. So make sure when you mark the inside corners, you align the side of the curve that you need to cut. So if you align the line, that's how you know the rest is waste. And that's the way you cut those midas. And you can see it's simple. I put this wood out here just to protect, and I make sure I'm not going to slide my fingers into the blade, that's all. And to make sure that the ply in the bottom doesn't flex. It doesn't need to be there, but I put it there. That's a lot of people, they know more than I do about work with wood and table saws. They put this curve out here, this piece of wood out here, so I put them on. And I feel better that way. I know my hand is not going to slip and the thing and the wood is not going to curve on me or start playing around. But it did take a few minutes to set up the first strip, and after that, then it's downhill. If you set this one right, this one is going to be right because you're going to have your 90-degree square over here. That's all, guys. Simple. Take a few minutes, make it, and your life is going to be a lot easier. Now, I'm trying to clean this tabletop up with a homemade special car scraper that I built, and it's a lot better than sandpaper. I was just finishing the shellac. I bought the shellac, it's already mixed. It's heavy, so I had to dilute it a little bit with alcohol. But this is the I apply shellac heavy first with a brush. Let me. I had to lay it very heavy with a brush. I let it stay overnight, and then I sand it all the way down to the wood. The problem is that some wood have a lot of pores, and the oak and the ipe has a lot of pores. So the idea when you do that is to build it up heavy, 3 or 4 coats, and then sand it all the way down to the wood. Hopefully, the pores is going to be filled with shellac and it's going to be flat. In the case of an oak, you have to do it many times, and it's just not worth to get a French polish finish, and that wasn't my intention either. But you can see it's already a reflection out here. It's as shiny I wanted to get it. I don't want any higher sheen than these, because then it becomes a different type of furniture that I wasn't expecting, and it's not with this design. When you want a higher sheen, when it's a veneer table completely. But I'm satisfied with it. You know, I'm going to give it a couple of more. Goings. There we go. I put the right base already adjusted to the right length, and using the drill bit So right now, I am trying to level this off. That way, they all be, because I put this table with a taper to the outside. So I tried to put this on a level with the level gauge. So I got a reference to how high to put it. So I tried to do all the legs at the same time. Now that I cut all I'm installing the bottom shelf on it. I have to, of course, remove two of the sides in order to insert the shelf in place. Now I reinstall it. Well, after shellacking this table, I apply the sides and the leg with the brush a little bit, and stove, I use a rug first, a rubber. I wrapped it with this shellac on a 1 pound cut, because otherwise the cams in the cam is too thick. So I had to cut it a little bit. So I wrapped it in the bottom real light, with not too long. That doesn't mean that I rub it with that. I wrapped it, but I didn't do over and over and over. So what I did is wrapped it enough to change the color and seal it. Then what I do was to wax it. Once I wax it, I let it stand for a few minutes to allow the wax to harden a little bit, and then I luster it a little bit. I luster it a little bit, sort of like you do the shoes, and I'll call it a day. I also wax the legs and a little bit the front and the sides, and I will call it a day for this bottom. Now I'm going to put it down, and I'm going to do the inside. I'm going to finish the inside with a very light coat of shellac, very light coat, just to seal it. Then I'll turn it over and I do the underneath just to seal it, and we call it. The top is already done, as you can see. That, well, you remember, put a little bit further back, and I think this bottom came out with a very nice color and just enough sheen to have it a finished feeling. It doesn't feel hard. It doesn't feel like dry wood or bare wood. It feels really good. Feels very good. Also the sides feels very good, and it's got just enough sheen. All right, guys. Now I'm going to put it down, finish the inside and underneath, so that way it feels sealed, and it doesn't have to be real sealed, you know. It's just to protect for humid days. Although here in Southern California, we don't have that many humid days throughout the year. So it's very much dry, but we don't want any start losing up the joints and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Just real light. And that will be it. I would have to put the hinges on the top to allow the top to open and close, and that will be done. Good job. All right, I'll bring you back a little bit later and explain what I'm doing. I didn't film the whole process of painting, basically, or finishing, because everybody's got their favorite way to finish. You can varnish it, you can do whatever you like it, you know. I just tried lacquer for the first time. I'm not an expert. I just did it 2-3 times in small projects, but I still know that this was a big surface, and the tabletop was a big surface too. So let's see. I'm not an expert, but I think I have got getting a hand on it. The polyurethane, the varnish, and some other things that they are lacquered. They have all had different things, you know. But I like the way that shellac was on the top, so I did the same thing. The same thing on the rest of it. All right, we'll bring you back in a little while. I'm ready to put the tabletop, and I'm going to put the hinges. We are going to put the hinges like I envision. Now I'm going to use piano hinge. This is not the one I full length. But I had to go to the hardware store and get it. I had to put this support out here a little bit lower, so the piano hinge, it will be flush with the top right here. So what we're gonna, because if you put it at the same level, it's gonna be higher than the rest of the top. You know, you don't want the rest of the railing to be on a void. Somebody sit on the table and might crack the top, or I don't think so, but it just, you know what I'm talking about. So where the hinge goes, it has to be a little lower, or I have to cut the railing to accommodate that. Since I cannot put the hinge on the railing because of the legs sticks out, it'll bind. I need to put the hinge this way. So I already drilled the holes. I should use a clamp out here, but okay. That's the way it goes. And I had to adjust it because I know perfect. Hello. I'm going to make the taper legs. I already measured 6 inches from the top of the leg and 1.5 inches from the bottom of the leg. So now I have to put this jig, which is nothing but a piece of MDF, with a runner to run through the minor slot. That's nothing. It's just I just improvised this here. So now you have to align the line that you draw with this with the edge of the edge. So now we have so that we can cut the one side of the leg. Now, one thing you have to be aware is that you need to have your bandsaw perfectly tuned up. because you don't want the blade to start wandering one way or the other. So you do what you have to do, adjust the guys top and bottom and tension properly so the blade, it won't be wandering one way or the other, so you cannot have a flat cut. This, it's got to be good enough so you can go one pass on the joiner and get it perfectly smooth and get rid of all the sole marks. Now what we're going to do here is to make another, see, these two have to be 90, the two tapers have to be at 90 degrees to each other. So what we're going to do here is mark with a ruler.
And it can be stressful for the mixed marriage, like Clint and Eileen Dawson.
And a pencil.
They woke up in the middle of the night about a week ago. And she was
My pencil, I don't know.
she was sewing
I always losing my pencil.